What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations in 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And once a month, I host and co-produce online conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. And we are broadcasting live September 10th. And the days are getting shorter. It's dark here, but there are two ladies. When they come on, they bring light. And I'm speaking it now that we have a permanent day for them on Thursdays, that they're going to come on and drop knowledge bombs about what's going on, especially in American politics. And it's been a minute since they've been on. And when they have been on for a while, the pile gets higher and higher and higher of the things they want to drop knowledge bombs about. As always, I'd like to welcome Aisha K, Staggers and Jill Jones. How we doing?
Hey there.
Hey.
How we doing? How's things?
Good.
You always that way, asking how are things when you know there is a powder keg that we are sitting on.
No, I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about the country. I'm talking about you and your families. Forget the country we know.
I'm well, before we came on air, you guys know that I opened a bottle of rancid watermelon water, and I'm just trying to not, because I spilled it on myself, so I'm trying to not smell it.
Oh my God.
And so while we were sitting here waiting for the countdown, I'm just like, I can't smell this stuff. I'm trying not to smell it, So that's going to be me the whole show. It's like,
that's all right. Work through it.
I know.
Jill, how are things in dark California?
It's dark. I know. It's been cloudy all day. The sun was red.
Wow.
You can smell the smoke. It's a lot. I mean, we've had over 2 million acres burned.
Wow.
So it's, and of course, if the gut punch, just that alone isn't enough, there's like a bunch of rumors from the Republican people, as usual, saying, oh, Antifa started these fires. It's not true.
Well, okay.
It's called global warming, people.
Okay.
It is actually happening. I mean, it's happening before our eyes. And maybe when they said a few months back that it's too late to fix it, I actually think it might be, based upon, a new fire started here 2 days ago. It started two days ago because someone was having a gender reveal party and had some kind of explosive, and that started at 1 in my area. So it's and then another guy was doing a car chase the other day on the freeway with a big wagon attached to it, and he apparently had sparks flying so much he started a fire in Topanga, or they think he actually did start the fire. There was a huge car chase. And people are just wilding out.
I'm gonna stop there because we're gonna come back to that a little bit later on in our conversation. So, but there's fire going in, especially in Washington. There seems to be a lot of fire going on, and so let's get to it. The first conversation piece for both of you. 45 admits to downplaying coronavirus threat in audio recordings revealed in journalist Bob Woodward's new book, Rage, which is an interesting title when you want to stick it to 45. 45 acknowledged he knew the coronavirus could be transmitted through the air and was 5 times more deadly than the flu, even as he was publicly saying it wasn't. Ladies, what gives with this? Like, even my dad called me about this today because one of his favorite shows is The View, and on The View, there, I guess 1 or 2 panelists were saying that Bob Woodward should have reported this sooner, not now.
Yeah,
well,
they did say that.
But I mean, think about it. It wasn't profitable for him to do it sooner rather than now. He wanted it to get as close to the election as possible because that's where the real money would have been for him. Think about it. This is the same guy that he was the deep throat guy from Nixon. He was the same guy that, made it so Nixon had to resign. So he was also going to make it so that Trump had to resign. The only thing about it was that, Trump today gave a campaign speech in lieu of a press release, a press conference or whatever you want to call that. He had a campaign rally. And, what was Trump going to do? Say it wasn't me, it was his voice. I mean, I'm surprised that people were shocked to hear Trump's voice on this tape. It's like, Black folks, we've been new. It's like
Right.
people were like, Trump knew. The hashtag Trump knew came out yesterday with the tape, and everybody's like, breaking news, there's tapes. Really? You're surprised that there's tapes? Of
Right.
course there are tapes. Of course there were tapes. Trump is too stupid not to say what it is that he does. I mean, he's so flagrant with it. He does everything that he does out in the open. I mean, the man had an affair, okay? Out in the open. He had an affair out in the open. He paid the woman that he had an affair with out in the open. He's about to be charged with rape, and we're going to pay for it.
Excuse me, but that's typically not called an affair. It's called prostitution. That are engaging in prostitution.
Exactly.
He didn't have an affair with Stormy Daniels. He engaged in a form of prostitution.
Exactly. Used campaign funds to pay it off and got.
Yeah.
Oh, the man was impeached and didn't have to walk. So why are people surprised? We've been new.
Mm-hmm.
Jill, what were your thoughts about the whole Woodward thing? When you heard the audio for the first time, what were your thoughts?
It wasn't surprising. I'm sort of with Aisha on this page. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I have a different take on Bob Woodward as far as what people on The View were saying. And I'm not so sure that if he'd have come out with it, that it would have landed as much as it has landed. And even now, after his press speech, see what he's such a master of doing is he jumps on the left, like the criticisms of the stupid women on The View going, I'm really mad at Bob Woodward. Well, guess what his talking point was today after at his campaign? His talking point was to say, well, if Bob Woodward didn't think it was so bad, or he did, why didn't he come out with it? So loose lips sink ships. These just need to shut their mouths. I've stopped watching The View, actually, but I did today watch it. And then I just decided, we don't need you. We don't need to hear this anymore. Who's watching? I mean, it's like, they actually give weapons to him. They give him the ammunition to fight back. Of what's the liberal mind pondering? I'm a little bit, pissed off about that personally. It's like, don't be mad at Bob Woodward. Nobody was going to pay attention, because if you look at Bob Woodward's behavior, knowing now, looking back at some of his interviews on all these different shows, he was withholding something, but it still did not give up his ability to keep kind of pushing buttons, hoping that, testing the waters in a way that people just don't respond. I mean, they've actually said 25% of his followers, he can do anything. And the media needs to really decide what it wants to be. CNN vacillates back and forth, biggest sitting on the fence. They get hungry for those ratings. They're so thirsty. And then they'll go, well, let's have somebody with an opposing view. No, at this point, no. I don't want to hear an opposing view on this. I want it hammered home. CNN is kind of like that dude that you're having sex with, and in the middle of it, they stop and watch TV or get a coffee or they decide to switch streams. You know what I mean? It's kind of like you're in a groove and you're like, okay, you guys are really doing it. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I've got to go. Yeah, I'm going to go get a coloring book and start coloring.
I want to ask, and just want to touch Aisha for a minute. You have experience in the book publishing world. Mm-hmm. So when Woodward was doing this book,
a year ago.
Okay, a year ago. Does he have now I don't know enough about that world. Does
A
he
year
have
ago.
okay that that is he like does he have I don't know the agreement, but does he have did he have the ability if he wanted to release that stuff
NDA,
then?
and he signed an NDA.
Okay.
Let's for example, something a book that neither of us had anything to do about, but both Jill and I knew was coming out earlier, which was Prince's memoir. We both heard about it earlier.
Right.
But the book, I mean, honestly, what the agent who did it was out in 2018, 2017, talking about having done the deal. Okay, so at that point, notice that the co-author was not out talking about it. He likely had an NDA at that point that he signed the deal and couldn't speak on it.
Okay.
Right? I have clients that I work with that because I do agent books. I have clients that I work with. I have NDAs with them, whether they're written or verbal. I don't talk about their books.
So why didn't the women from The View at least have the good common sense to even think about that? They've all damn near had books out. They should know, you know? So it's like.
So then are you saying, Aisha, then basically Woodward had an NDA, so that's why the information wasn't out sooner?
Yeah,
gag orders.
Yeah, because
okay.
Because the truth of the matter is that once you sign your contract about your book, you talk about it in general terms, but there are some things that you don't go about,
right,
putting out there, because it's the meat of the book. It's like, for example, if we talk about our show and we put feelers out there for people, we want people to watch, but why would me and Jill put our one-liners out there?
Yeah.
Even though we never know what we're going to say, we never know what's going to come out of either one of our mouths.
That's what makes it beautiful.
Exactly. But why would we put that stuff out there in advance of the show?
Right.
And what's the point in people coming to watch?
Exactly.
It's like, that's what it's like. That's why movies have trailers to entice people. But if we put out like half the movie, why would people come? Why would people pay?
Right.
Even though, people go to see a concert, but to hear things that they've never heard, to see a person perform live in a way that they've never seen them. So that it's like, why would Bob Woodward put out
I agree.
The major part of his book? He's trying to sell books. He's trying to make money.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like that was his whole point. It's like, did anyone think that he was gonna write a book just, because he had something to say?
And let's be honest, around the time that he was doing it, I mean, we saw what a bust the whole Mueller thing was. We saw that these books that, in Congress that they're all putting together, it's going nowhere. And now come find out, they all knew, even the GOP, they knew things about his relationships in Russia, all of it, since February 5th. They knew that about COVID. They knew all of it. And when they saw COVID coming down the pipeline, they're like, this will be a great distraction. And they ran with that. And that's what they did. And they need to tie that conversation together, because it came on the heels with COVID. Why wasn't everyone's like, wasn't Nancy Pelosi talking about it? She was in Chinatown promoting going out and all this stuff, and how racist it was for Trump to close the borders.
Which it was.
You know what? It was, and he didn't do it. Let's just be really honest. He didn't. It was too late. It's like the barn door was already open and there were no more horses, and you closed the door. It's like, dude, sit down. You're pathetic.
Put it this way.
And then that we were almost at war with North Korea, which
yes.
there were always hints about it. There were actual journalists speaking on it, but people didn't want to believe it. And if I were Bob Woodward, I'd write a book, if I knew anything about that damn man, make my money, and leave this country. Because the reality is, people here, if anyone wants to really look at what the problem is, it's the masses of Americans. You're stupid. You're idiots. You're gullible. And you thought your little stocks and your little stock market stuff, well, it took a hit last night. Good luck.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you exactly when Bob Woodward decided that he was not going to, that he was going to wait. When Mary Trump's book sold 1 million copies in one day, he said, oh, I got tapes. I am not. He's like, forget it. I'm not saying anything until my book date comes out. Because here's the thing. A year ago, he knew when his book deadline was. When when your book release deadline is. Because the publisher will tell you, oh, you're a year out, so this is going to be your publishing date. You know when that is. So he had a choice to talk before then. And as soon as Mary Trump's book came out, he said, I'm holding this.
I do find it interesting that it's being released around the same time Cohen's. You know, it's just like, and then there's Morgenstern, who
we don't even have it on the docket. We could Michael Cohen. I don't watch too much TV, but he was interviewed last night on CNN.
Yeah, but if the publisher, you remember there's umbrella publishers. So if the big publisher has, umbrella companies underneath it, and if Cohen's publisher is one of those umbrella companies, then they all know when they're all coming out. Yeah. So, and they time those things.
And I do think they're hammering home a little bit. I mean, let's be honest. There's not that many publishers in anything. There's like 6 of in every grouping of every media outlet.
Like,
I mean, it's owned by the same people, the big 5. So everybody does know.
So, did I know you two keep a watch on Twitter? Did you watch your favorite press secretary try to deflect all of this?
I don't watch her.
You mean, well, allegedly what he said.
Yeah.
And the press guy was like, no, it's his voice.
You know how I feel about those people. I really think that, don't insult my intelligence. I mean, really, it's like, I've been saying this since, Sarah Sanders or whatever, Kim Jong-un's wannabe concubine.
Sean Spicer tried to say that, don't lie to me. These were
I mean,
this was the most
I honestly can't.
In history.
This girl, she's looking like the blonde girl, whatever her name is, Christy, Katie, Kathy, Karen. She looks like any old broke down cheerleader at this point. She looks like a broke down cheerleader with, to me, that's my first impression. And I always scroll by. I'm like, I'm not interested. I'll see what anybody else is. I'm not interested in her. She's a liar. I just started thinking at one point, like a lot of these young people in their lifetimes, as they get older, it's going to be very interesting what they morph into, what other monsters or things
He gets them so young. I mean, I will never believe that Sarah Huckabee Sanders was just 33. I'm sorry. I'm not believing that.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. What was her name? Holly Hill.
He gets them young and dumb. And what he does to them, we don't know, but mark my words, she'll have a book too. She'll have a book. I mean, like maybe a couple, one that's supporting him, and then later when she's like 50, the truth will come out.
I'm mad that Sarah Sanders tries to make us believe that Trump tried to pimp her out. That's just a lie.
Yeah, that was funny, right? But you have to laugh about it. I mean, she kind of looks like Kim Jong-un in a really weird way. They kind of mirror each other.
Jill, you're on fire tonight.
No, I'm not trying to be racist or anything. They just actually, some people have the same visual component, something going on.
No, it's not that. It's that her face looks like Play-Doh. Like you can morph
and
like
so did his. It's like,
she looks like a Miss Potato Head. Like you could just take the pieces and.
Let's move on.
They did take the pieces.
Let's move on. In our offline conversations via Twitter this week, or just even today, one of the interesting conversation, Thomas, Jill wanted to bring up, and she mentioned a little bit earlier on, or maybe before we went live, about 45's followers akin to the mindset of Charles Manson and Jim Jones followers. What do you take on? What's your take on that? That is interesting.
The Jim Jones follower scares me because Jim Jones really preyed on Black people for a reason. But
Latinos.
Yeah, and Latinos. But the scary thing about Trump is that Trump preys on white supremacists for a reason. For a reason, and it's scary. It's like when I think about last week, I don't know if any of you saw how the Kentucky Derby went down.
Yes.
And you had peaceful Black Lives Matter protesters on their side. When Trump's people came out, they came out armed. But yet you had the military and the National Guard focused on the unarmed Black Lives Matter protesters. But the Trump supporters had a bunch of AK-47s. They were screaming with their white power fists in the air. They were threatening, but the National Guard was on the peaceful people. These are the peaceful people that he's calling the anarchists,
right?
The Antifa, the people that are supposed to be the big threat to suburban housewives. And I'm sorry, but white women should be enraged. He set you all back 70 years calling you housewives. Many of you have jobs. Many of you are the sole income provider in your household. But, go Trump.
But these are the housewives that have no aspirations. These are the ones that you see and they have their kids and they're moaning because they want to get them back into school so they can go to their spin class. It's those women that have nothing. They're going to be nothing. They're not going to be remembered for anything special. They think that having a little blog and talking about selling their breast milk to each other is a big snot, and barely.
But those aren't the ones that really support him, Jill. We know it's the ones that, work a part-time job, 20 hours, 19 and a half to 20 hours a week in Walmart. The ones that on Halloween, the ones who will shop in Walmart in their underwear, I
don't know. I disagree. I think that in those areas, they're so invisible. I think that they really are that in between milk toast. Do you know what milk toast women? They're milk toast. They go and they shop and they go to, things and get knockoffs of this, or they'll spend their husband's whole salary to get a Louis Vuitton bag. Yeah. And then they try to leg up within their little groups. We have them out here in Orange County, and they try to use brands to substitute for class or decency or grace, and they have none. Going to church is a popularity contest. Those are the white women that existed, and they went through white feminism. They didn't join up. They are a product of their nasty mothers who are nasty. I saw a video the other day, but she was, and a white woman in the South talking about segregation and what she was up against. And I really wanted to know, who is this woman and who is related to her? Because it was just astounding to me. So those women in my head, they're quick change artists. Their husbands can even be, working at banks, and they are just women who do nothing. They do nothing.
Yeah.
And they do the least and claim to be doing the most. And they watch their dumb shows and they think that, Bravo needs to take off those Real Housewives now. It's done. It's over. You're doing us a disservice. Do what the Kardashians did. Bow the hell out. I don't need to see any more white women in problems.
Yeah. It's a very harsh juxtaposition to what we see in our community, because, you think about the women, we all come from a community where we see the women in our community as very, very diverse.
Oh, we have some of those too that
Yeah, we
play
have
that. Let me have my bags and my this. And
but that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that the women that we see in our community are very diverse, from that to everything. But their view of us is very limited.
very. It is. I mean, and I think why I equated them with the Manson followers and Jim Jones
Their
is
loyalty.
basically it's the loyalty and what they
Blind
think
loyalty.
he could do. And why I think they're so dangerous is that they're smart enough to really know that, you know, they're hurting people and that he wants to hurt people. They want that. They are no different than Manson's side guy Tex. Tex was the butcher. He's the one who cut the baby out of Sharon Tate's tummy.
So let me ask you the question.
But I see his followers as being, if stuff really goes down, they'll all be there cutting babies out and doing whatever they have to do. They have no problem gutting you, whether it's symbolically or literally, which is what we had a whole group of those maniacs driving down Ventura Boulevard around that same time with the Kentucky Derby. And what's so crazy to me about Kentucky and all these red state welfare states, they're red. We take care of you. New York, all of us, we fund you. I would rather see them starve. I would rather see them starve, and I would rather send money to people individually in those states who are blue supporters. But I want those states to fall and fold in on themselves. I really do, because they need to know what it's like to heal and know your place and know where you stand. Because Kentucky, let me tell you something. When I was growing up, Kentucky was full of green rolling hills. And then the Arabs came in and bought up all the farms for their horses. Come on, Mitch McConnell. We know how you got rich and continue to get rich. And the most disgusting thing of all on those tapes is how our president of the United States protected people involved with Khashoggi's butchering. I can't even stomach anybody. I had a girl today on Facebook saying, I came to your page to follow you out of love because Prince was about love. I said, let me tell you something about Prince. He didn't like Donald Trump. He thought he was a buffoon. The song Black Donald Trump, and he gave it to Morris and all that. It was a joke. He was the most despicable human being ever. And we just goofed at it. It was the perfect character for the Morris Day character, I suppose. But come on. I came to you because it's about peace and love. You think that 200,000 people being dead is petty? Step off. Step off.
We are
that love is the reason I'm here defending them. Love, I'm sorry, it's like that is something that White House administration doesn't even know and never will, because he is not coming from love. They are cult followers. A friend of mine had an aunt who sadly died in the Jim Jones thing. So believe me, I've heard a lot. There was nothing anybody could say in his family to her. And she drank the Kool-Aid, literally. And when she died, they gave her a little chain that had a picture of Jim Jones on it. And that's all they had of her and have of her.
Jill, I wonder, though, because it seems to me it's also regional how people's devotion is. Because I find people in the South and the Midwest to be even more just devotional.
Because they were lied to. What were the daughters of the Confederacy? Blame them, the late 1800s. They changed their books. They read books, The Lost Cause, and reconstructed the whole fairy tale of how they came to be.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're too stupid to even nothing. Oh, that's not true. That's not true. After a while,
mint juleps on the
Yeah, it's like all I think of when they say mint juleps now is Kevin Spacey or Lindsey Graham sitting around molesting a bunch of little boys. I can easily see that. Oh, yeah, that's a Southern. Oh, it was so fantastic. Oh, my God. These people, and the reason I say with the molestations and all that, because they speak on it. And the fact that they speak on it is that they always try to get ahead of the story that they're doing. You know, that's what they do. It's so obvious. But, you know, those people down there, when we had the chance during the Civil War, we should have really just done what we needed to do, if you know what I mean.
No, I think the other thing too that really just bothers me more than anything isn't it's the lack of verifying the truth. Okay, the truth can be staring.
Oh no, they don't want it.
I know they don't want it, but here's the thing: is like it would be so different if we lived in a time where information wasn't readily available by something as simple as this. Okay, we all got this. We all have one of these, and it's like if that wasn't readily available to us to just get the truth and verify people's truth, it's like
Aisha, people don't
I
even
know.
verify the people that they're talking to online.
I know.
These are being catfished night and day.
Yeah.
One of them, I watched a documentary the other day, and one of them had been in a relationship,
Yeah.
for 14 years with somebody that she never met.
Ghosted.
But it isn't even, it's like, just this is what it is. It's American people. Something really bad happened in education.
What's going to happen to all these people who follow him mindlessly like this?
What happened in Animal Farm?
When he can no longer be president and no longer be what I don't think he wants to be president anymore, because the truth is that he was never supposed to be president. He was supposed to use running as a marketing tool. So what happens when he can no longer be president? What do you think these people are going to do?
He may not want to be president, but he doesn't want to lose either. That's the difference.
Oh, no.
But what's so interesting is that he's trying to get his kids in place and set that up. That's what he's doing. It's
his daughter.
His daughter, yes, but Don Jr. wants it. But Don Jr. is never going to get it. Talking about
even if I were a parent of those two kids, it would not be that. It would be
more than
he's pazzo. The daughter would be the bet.
Okay, so both of you have mostly talked about why women follow 45. What's the attraction for males, mostly white males, and even what's the attraction even for black men to be a 45 follower?
Okay,
any man who's emasculated.
Yeah, they're black people. Black people feel like it's a crab in the barrel leg up. It's a small pond. They can be kind of like the black guy in the neighborhood. I mean, what we all should have done was pretend that we were all a bunch of the followers and stuff. That's what we needed to infiltrate and sit up there and be like, hey, and just have as many podcasts and then flip, and should have flipped this year. That's what should have happened. In hindsight, people should have just been talking smack and on their things and flipping. But I don't know, to disrupt it. Because you pull people in and then you go, you know what, I'm not feeling him anymore. And, I don't really like the fact that he was okay with people murdering our veterans and our military men and women. And I'm not really okay with this whole, holding back with even knowing that those COVID tests were not any good. And, that there was nothing to, he knew about it. I'm not cool. We probably needed to be more strategic on that front, because these are people that are sheep. They are like Animal Farm in George Orwell's 1984, and all of it. They are all of those things that they think they're not. So they think that they're so intelligent. I'm not going to go around and say, oh, I'm the most intelligent person on the block. but I got some street sense. These people have no street sense, and they're willing to go down the ship. There's also craziness going on with the evangelicals. September 17th to the 18th, which is Rosh Hashanah. Child, did y'all know Jesus is coming? And he's coming. And he, so my point was, then why are you guys even concerned about voting? Because isn't he supposed to be raptured? I mean, they're saying it's the rapture. So if he's supposed to be raptured, then who's going to fill in? They can't answer that one. Number two, this is how sick they are at this point. If they truly believe their Bible and their words, Bible says no one knows the time or the hour. Don't even try. Back off. Just do your thing. If it happens, it happens. Boom. What's so dangerous about here? Every time they in America, and I'm so angry about it, we end up a few days later finding out that because there was no rapture, some husband goes in or wife kills their whole family. This is a really bad situation. And when men fall into it, Trump's lack of manners, his telling it as it is, all of that, it's like these men don't even know what it is to be a desirable man anymore. Let's put it this way. Trump is not desirable, sexy in any way, desirable on any level. Y'all want to relate to that? Go right ahead, because none of the American men are. In fact, I actually looked at my daughter the other day and I said, how you could break my heart is showing up with an American dude. It could actually crush me to pieces.
Ouch.
Yeah, I was like, I would turn into maybe that. Who was the one who turned around and went into salt? I just said, because at this point, I can't even imagine sitting across the table from someone that is in no. Mm-mm. So yeah, maybe ouch is right. She was just like, oh my God. I said, please don't do it.
I mean, my thing about the men is that I look at it this way. I think anyone who is the descendant of anyone who can rip children away from their parents and then sell them down the river to someone else and continuously do this for centuries has got to be and then pass this trait down, this behavior down generations, and pass similar behaviors down, and as society changes, continue to pass the behaviors down, i.e. making institutional racism a thing. I think that it's easy for them to become and adopt Trump's behavior. I just, it's easy. That's
also the fact that they're inbred, and that's not even a joke. It's not a joke.
No,
there's so many inbred people in the South. If you look at the family trees and how they cross, it's not a joke. I wish I were joking, but it's not. There's also something that's just not right.
And the more that this happens, is particularly when you pass on these behaviors, they become adaptable, that they become like traits.
But they have a lot of lies. If you look at people, they have family lies, family hidden secrets. We don't say this. And that's why they identify with him.
Right.
It says everything about their families. You go, wow, maybe that's not your dad. And maybe that's not your mom, or whatever is going on, because you would never, if you were a whole, complete person, be attracted to Donald Trump. There's just no way. He's a TV show host, and he makes them feel better about their own personal sins. God knows what they're up to.
He's trash with money. That's all.
But
they can identify with that.
True, but he's also a cruel and a horrible human being. And this, I was reading Milton's Paradise Lost, and there was a whole thing explaining what was the conversation like. So in the Garden of Eden, basically God gave everybody the ability to make your own choices. He also gave you the ability that he thought you would be smart enough to not fall into evil. And then, of course, you know how Paradise Lost goes into Dante's whole thing and the whole conversations. It is kind of interesting to put it into perspective. And I really recommend people go and read it and apply it to a lot of the things going on, because I don't even think Jesus and God had that much going for it. They weren't that optimistic about humans even then.
Well, we're going to move it on. We're going to move it on because we'll get
Been
back
on that all day.
Yeah, we could.
Mhm.
Let's get back to something Jill was sharing with us at the beginning of the conversation. She is living in the state of California, and the weather, the fires, like just the destruction.
Yeah,
It's happening. Jill, please give us some insight on it, because you're basically in the eye of the storm.
Yeah, we have so many fires. It's just too many to even cover on news coverage. And I think that, you know, with COVID and with everything else, the air quality is very bad. The morale is, of course, incredibly low. And it looks like we're all in an apocalypse. And I don't know, maybe September 17th is it. But anyway.
Don't say that.
It's pretty bad because, you know, we're looking at over 2 million acres that have burned. If you recall, last year we were inundated with all those idiots going on about some kind of weird electrical thing that the HARP was doing and all this kind of, well, that story is no longer moving. This time they're spreading rumors that Antifa is setting it. No, it's called, we've been in a drought. We have stupid people who have gender reveal parties and explosions in their gender reveal. That starts a fire. We have other situations where, you know, people were surrounded camping, and within 30 minutes of trying to get their stuff together, they were surrounded by total fire. The guy showed the whole, and it took helicopters to airlift them out of there, 30 people. And then there was a comment that a lot of the helicopters that we use, like the serious ones in war that could help fight this fire, they're in Afghanistan. So we're dealing with some issues. Mexico sent up some firemen that have been helping with the fires. So God bless them and thank them, because this is.
You mean they were allowed across the border?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, actually,
I'm just
Dr.
asking.
Dr. Vibe, I don't know what rest of the people in America think. People cross the border every single day to do their jobs and to go back. But the lack of foresight here that people are forgetting is all of these fires will impact different parts of our agriculture and our resources that we do have and that we even maybe export. So, you know, it's
like wine.
If anybody is setting any fires, it would be Trump's people, if I have to go that part, because we would lose a little bit more here. We definitely need people to come together. The brilliant thing is, we spoke about this the other day, that now they've evacuated 3 prisons in Oregon, by the way. That's how bad Oregon is across the whole state, on a blaze.
Yes.
The beautiful thing is that now a lot of our inmates who are on the line, because there's many out there, even some with COVID, some not. At this point, they'll take probably anybody to help. They've been allowed to become firemen after they get released, an actual job. So that's one great thing out of it. But, you know, then another dude the other day was in a high-speed chase, and his sparks in his car, or they said he started a fire in Topanga. So we also have crazy cuckoo arsonists. So we have a lot of sick people in the world. And one big issue, so you have to remember that a lot of people were having issues with insurance companies here and getting fire coverage. So if you have a mortgage, you tend to always have insurance. Well, the fallacy is that people are believing, well, they have insurance. Not necessarily so. We had many cases where the insurance companies were dropping people with the coverage, and Newsom had to reinstate and put in something where they weren't allowed to do that. This is happening across the country with different disaster zones. Insurance companies, need to be gutted. Talk about disbanding and defunding them. They all need it. That's what, needs to happen, because people who you imagine in COVID, the most people who are getting their forbearance loans, right? Because they can sort of, if you have a loan with a federal bank, right? Federal funded. However, there was a weird thing that started happening with Chase, Citibank, and all these other different banks about a year ago. They just started assigning your mortgage to private companies.
Ouch.
So you would have this sort of person in between, and most of these companies are like nasty little vicious vipers, and our Congress needs to address with it, because it's not it's just Chase may have decided to do it, or Wells Fargo decides to put someone in between. They don't want to service the loan. So many friends of mine have had problems with this. So now with, people and their mortgages, they don't get the forbearance break. So it's kind of some sick stuff is going to start happening with people losing their homes, because not just renters who, once the moratoriums are released. So this impacts on a huge way, a huge way. And I believe Trump is somewhere involved in all of this, because he supports and protects the insurance companies and has created all these things where they're not liable. No one's liable in corporations for anything, because he's a real estate guy and he understands land use. And eminent domain is next in the next round with him. Don't people ever look at what happened at the border? Where'd the money go in those construction loans? There's no wall, but billions of dollars were allocated to it. What were those? Where's the RFIs? Where's the RFPs? What happened? Newsom is doing the best that he can to still maintain some kind of autonomy, but this is not just one issue. It's a horrible disaster that's happening here, but DC's flooding right now, and every single area is tied to some of Trump's nonsense. And that shifting, where the banks have been allowed to shift mortgages, school loans, same thing. School loans, same thing. There are some kids, people, they're like, oh, well, you don't have to pay your school loan back. Well, if your loan was just given to somebody else to service, oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. So I'm always about how much I distaste breadcrumbing, and don't give me crumbs and try to tell me it's a full course meal. It's like, get out of here. I mean, somebody really, it's like, that's ridiculous.
Jill,
there's always a caveat.
You are fired up tonight. You are, because just like you are, Aisha. Anything you want to add on to the knowledge bombs that Jill's been dropping?
No, I just wanted to ask Jill, how is it as far as breathing? Because I know she has asthma. And
I've been inside. I went out today, so I'm okay. I have my stuff, but I think about kids and people who don't, and and it's just breaking my heart that we have a heartless president who doesn't sit up the nights that I sit up. This dude is on TV watching stuff and saying, I didn't know. TV more than the people who work at the station.
Yeah, because I was worried about.
Don't play me. He was right to not marry a black woman, because I'd have kicked his butt all the way. Shoot, and might even have showed up in the middle of his press conference.
Because think about it. Because we're in the middle of a pandemic. There's this going on, and it's a pandemic that they're not sure if it's a blood vessel pandemic or if it's something that has to do with your breathing, but it definitely affects your lungs.
And he knew that it was airborne, so he had two more rallies. Oh, why not? Oh, it's airborne. Hey, can we have two more rallies so I can just kill a bunch of people?
Right.
What does he do? All this bad news?
Oh wow! Oh wow! What is
I mean,
it?
there's no other explanation.
Jill, what's in that cup? All right.
Cappuccino.
Okay, yeah, just checking. Just checking. Just checking.
Oh no. If I get drunk, it would just be I don't even know if we could go on.
No,
I'd
no,
be like,
I don't. No, 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 no. It's okay. Well, look, let's finish off this edition with I read there was a survey that NPR and Ipsos organization ran just recently, and they asked this question: since the death of George, and this is to asked to Americans, cross section of Americans, since the death of George Floyd in May, have you personally taken any actions to better understand racial issues in America? 41% of Black Americans said yes. 49% of Asian Americans said yes. 51% of Latino Americans said yes. Only 30% of white Americans said yes. Ladies, what does that say about after what's all gone on this year about the racial environment in America?
They don't understand this does not rub off. It does not come off. It's not a costume, and the experiences behind it are legitimate. For some reason, it's kind of like, I think because for them, it's when they go home, they can stop. They can take a break from it. I don't think they understand. We don't get a break. We don't get a pause, a time out, just a chance to just, even in our dreams, we're Black, okay? So this experience sometimes catches us there too. And there's never just, we don't ever get a moment to just be like, we don't ever get to say, I'm tired of being Black, and be like, yeah, I can stop being Black for a minute. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. We can be tired of the experiences. And to be honest, I gotta say this for every Black person, every Latino person, every Asian person, every Native American person, we get tired of, I'm sorry, we get tired of white people. This might be the first time you're hearing it. We can be married to you. We can have you as friends.
Yeah.
We can see you as strangers on the street, not even know you. We get tired of you. And that's not to be mean. It's not something you should take to hurt your feelings. It's not an individual poke. It's that white people are tiring. It's like you never stop. Because the same way we don't get a day off, you all never take a day off from being white. It's like the same way we don't get a day off, you don't get a day off from being white. And all that comes along with being white people. It's like you never put your privilege away for a day. You never stop being white people. And because you don't stop being white people, we don't get a break from being who we are. And so understand you're going to get what we give out. And that's the way it is. And so that's why I think that number of white people is so low, because I don't think that they understand how they are, because of who they are, affects how we are because of who they are.
Right, because if they're constantly abusing people or allowing, they allow their other people ilk in, they face, let's be honest, they have their own hierarchies as well, and but the saddest part of this is that if that's the number, then we're really in a lot of trouble, because this game or charade that we've been playing for the last 40 years since John Lewis's day is pretty telling, that it would have created not just a wealth gap or that whole thing. It actually has created just a psychological gap, an emotional gap, and all of the myths about affirmative action and everything has been festering like a nasty wound with them. It's like there aren't people, they don't seem to be the type of people that really root for you to have achievements. But then again, we also have it in the Black community as well. I mean, look at what old Ice Cube did. He freaking sold people out. He comes back, he gets his money and makes a deal with Steve Bannon's friends to run his basketball team. And then he comes back and is trying to reshift his thinking. If you pay attention, there was a few months that even I was like, I stopped following him, because I was like, this dude changed midstream. Now it makes sense, because you become beholden, and people do, and everything is about the almighty dollar. And that will make people do whatever, be whatever, say whatever. And then you have to hear all their garbage and their crap. He's crap. I'm sorry. There's no way to come back from that. You did this. Dude got caught on a boat with a billionaire who has run off in China. And then we have it where white people, successful white people only see it. Are those the Black men they see? Oh, really? The successful ones that come in our night time, talk to us one way with forked tongues and slit our throats at night for a couple billion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to add on to that. Your favorite president now going to, 45 has directed the Office of Management Budget to crack down on federal agencies' anti-racism training sessions.
Because he doesn't know what the hell critical race theory is. Let me tell you, I spent so many hours studying critical race theory in graduate school. He heard somebody mention it, so now he's like, anything that says critical race theory has to go. And it's like,
well, he better get used to people showing up at their jobs with like weapons and people saying, you called me the N-word? Oh, hell no. There's no critical race thing in here. I'm going to show you, and I'll be here tomorrow, Miss Secretary, and I'm going to tell you. Yeah, he's so bright. He's just so profound.
And because you know why? Because critical race theory.
Because I wish somebody would call me something at my office.
Because
I'll be cleaning it up with them.
Exactly.
Knocking people around.
Theory exposes white supremacy.
Please. It absolutely does.
And he does not want to have to deal with that, because
he's just a miserable failure. My God, any bit of progress, it's like, I don't know. We're all walking somewhere and this bitch looks at you and goes, hey, let's just walk backwards. That's Donald Trump. Let's walk backwards and claim all the rewards backwards. Like, dude, this old man, this old piece of dust that, I don't know, Satan blew life into to keep him alive every day.
You know what? He is so white. He doesn't believe Emmett Till was lynched.
Even the Germans didn't want him. They freaking deported his grandfather. I was like, wow, they got the last laugh on us.
Oh my God, I hate that man. I hate that man.
He's a despicable human. I don't even know if he's a human. It's like he came out of the trenches in the swamps of like Sleepy Hollow.
But Dr. Vibe, we can't get off without talking about one of our favorite white supremacists.
Who's this?
Candace Owens.
Oh, no. Okay, you mean the battle? the battle between her and my girl Cardi. Okay, I want to hear what you two have to say because I don't chat amongst you guys a lot, but I have got my take on this. So I want you. I was gonna put it up as a conversation topic, but I said I don't know. But they are having a nice battle back and forth.
First of all, Candace Owens is having demon spawn. That tripped me out. Okay, somebody's gonna need an exorcist.
Yeah.
You didn't go there. You didn't go there.
Yeah, man.
Well,
but that's how you know that karma will come and get her, because your kids always bring you what you weren't looking for.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm Team Cardi all the way. I mean, I'm Team Cardi.
Me too.
Well,
Me too.
This is my take. I think both of them are puppets for their respective white leaders. Now, remember, look Republican-wise, there was a lady a little while back named Omarosa.
Oh, yeah.
And what happened to Omarosa?
Her account is private. I tried to go on it the other day. That's funny.
She gone. Now, Cardi B, come on. Again, here's the thing. Why don't both those parties have better black women representing them?
But I think Cardi
started out with
that.
Bernie.
She did that with Bernie.
Mm-hmm. But regardless, I just think that seeing them go back and forth, and what's actually interesting, another interesting point that, I'll go, and I'm just saying this for whatever people want to take it. Candace Owens is not married to a black man.
No,
she's married to Farmer Ted.
Right? Cardi B,
who lives off his dad's money.
And Cardi B is not of American heritage.
No. She's Dominican, isn't she?
Isn't the Dominican Republic, though, in U.S. territory?
But
it should be.
It's interesting, though, how these two black women have more profile than any other black women in their party, and they're not really black American women,
except for Kamala.
But okay, except for Kamala, but Kamala ain't getting the clicks that Cardi gets.
No, but here's the craziest thing: they're looking at her fan base and her base of people that follow her, whether they vote or not. That'll be maybe eye-opening for Cardi to understand if they really do. I'm not so sure. I still don't have a lot of faith in the young people voting.
She's been named as the favorite rapper of most of the women in most of the black women in Congress.
So David is saying here, hey, Vibe, the reason why Donald Trump has to win this election, he is still under investigation by the 9th District of New York, and he knows if he loses, he's going to go to the jail joint big time.
Good.
Yep.
Okay. I don't want to talk anymore about Cardi and Candace unless you got anything more to say. Like, I'm happy you put it in, but I'm just
the whole thing for me is that Candace is having a baby.
We have to sometimes. It's like, I feel really like, I know people don't want to hear me mention like Bill Cosby, but what I'm going with is that at one point I can't say, oh, it was great what Bill Cosby did with his career. It's terrible. However, what he did do with his TV show and all of that, it really did influence America. But the betrayal in the last couple of years of people who believed in their icons and all of that is what shifted. And then we have people like a Cardi who falls in the category of like a Donald Trump, or they're telling it like it is. It's not all they think, but it's just kind of where we are. And this is a really touchy area because people can be quite fooled. I mean, look how fooled they were with Ice Cube. Very fooled.
I had the same conversation with my daughter actually about Bill Cosby, because I was saying, I was like, Dad, I'm like, I want to watch Fat Albert, but it's like that.
We have to. This brings up another conversation topic for another time. The whole cultural influence
Mm-hmm.
over the
Because that's why I feel that we're a little bit post-celebrity, and we're getting like heightened and turned on to people who are just vomiting all over, social media.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
And I'm tired of Trump's vomit, personally. I'm sick of it.
well, ladies, I'm going to call it an evening. I'd like to say thank you for your time. As always, between now and November 3rd, I'm always going to close out with a question.
Yep.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is, okay, I'll put it this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is 45 going to win again if the election was held today?
9.
Wow.
Win again?
I have no faith in my American friends.
Wow.
Win again?
Yep.
I'm at 6.
Okay. 9. Interesting. We'll have to
I don't have faith in America, in the people who are. I just don't. I think some are either half dead, brain dead, or just in a coma, and some don't care. But I will have no sympathy when I get on that jet and head out to Germany.
Okay. Well,
wait a
hopefully
second,
we'll get you live from Germany too, if we have to.
Because I'm going to say one thing: Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, you need to vote. Because that may be part of the plan too, the master's plan, to make sure most Black people, Latinos, and Black people who follow that. It's time. You pay taxes, go vote.
Real Dango is saying he's at a 7 out of 10. So it seems that the followers of the platform here think that 45 is going to do it again.
Django, he and I are in the same. I feel that.
You know what? The reason I say 6 is because this is going on me before you said that poll. After you saying that poll, I would probably go up higher because
that's just bad.
Because it's about what I said again about white people.
They're a disappointment.
We thought, it again,
and they're okay with being a disappointment.
Yeah, we
because all they're thinking about, and not to cut you off, Aisha, but all they're thinking about is the reason hate and racism is here is because people think about what they're not able to get because you're in my way. So whether they come out openly and say, they're racist, or they're still sitting back there pretending that they aren't, they're still very concerned with, well, when I'm going to be able to have this, this, and this, and this, and they won't be able to. That's the root of it. So how are you going to transform people's minds and make them better people in 2 months' time, or have them get a conscience? They won't.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, you had those
They're
polls.
greedy. They're greedy.
Right. It's like you had those polls at the beginning when the George Floyd thing first happened, and then it was like, 65% believed X, Y, and Z, and now you have 39%. Well, 39% people, now people are telling you the real truth.
But they thought that they could elevate themselves. You're right, because they thought that once they started kicking in that education and being able to delineate who had a degree and who didn't, then this is where Trump has them. I was watching Christian Amanpour, and there was a guy on there talking about it. Biden and them better address this whole issue of y'all need to hire people because you think they're experienced and they can do a job, not to keep this cronyism and this whole, you went to that university and that. See, Trump speaks their language. Even I myself and friends of myself who have aged out of getting employed, basically, or my friends who don't have a college degree, you better make something happen for these people. Because we carried you on our backs. And now I have to be interviewed by a 20-year-old who doesn't want to hire me because she thinks she's bossing her mother around. That is where liberalism will kill itself with its own contradictions. So Biden better step that up, and they better start making visible the people who have died and the families, what's missing, their paycheck, their homes, their loved ones, and no ads with scripts. I want to hear people just say exactly what the hell happened. I don't need any more scripts with real people, reading. You need real people who suffered through COVID, who've lost people, and they need to just be on camera like, yo, my mom and my dad both got it, and we were kids where my brother and sister had to go move in with our aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
You got to keep it human.
Yeah. And until somebody really speaks to late generation baby boomers and Generation X, you're not going to beat
Donald.
You're not going to beat him because that's who he's talking to. That's who he's talking to. I'm Gen X, and I feel completely ignored. I've felt completely ignored. So and I think that's something that we always talk about as Gen Xers. Like, we're the ones who are ignored. People talk to baby boomers, late baby boomers at that, the 70-year-olds. And then people talk to millennials. And so they'll hire millennials or they'll hire baby boomers, the late boomers.
Exactly.
Because they feel for them. But everyone else in the middle, they're like talking to us like we're already middle class. And we're like, we're not even there yet because you're putting millennials at middle class. You're hiring millennials to do managerial jobs that they're not qualified for or ready for. And then the rest in the middle, the late baby boomers and the Gen Xers are just like, stuck in the middle.
All right. That's it. We done.
Oh, didn't Django say that?
Yeah, Doug Minter, last comments here. Doug Minter said racism is the child of class. Real Django said, I see white folks saying, quote, poor 45 was trying to save us, unquote, and then vote for his lying backside. Hashtag just saying. And Real Dango says exactly. So
Trump threw a rope over a building and everybody jumped on it and realized it ain't connected to nothing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Well, ladies, thanks again as always for dropping your knowledge bombs tonight. Love it. And I'm happy now that we're going to be on Thursday evening. So people, make sure you make your Thursday evening open if you can. Don't watch NFL football all the time, but make some room. These ladies drop great knowledge bombs. So, Jill, Aisha, before we let you go tonight, can you tell us where people can get in touch with you? So, Jill?
I have a grape. You can reach me at Jill D. Jones on Twitter or Jill Jones Music on Facebook and Jill Jones Music on Instagram. So,
nice. Aisha?
The best way to reach me is on Twitter, and there it is, at Aisha K, at Aisha Staggers.
Okay.
At Twitter. And one more thing. I just want to say, every now and then, let yourself take a break from Twitter. I take extended hourly, couple hour breaks because I need to just get away. It's too much. It's too much
true.
Sometimes.
I agree. Well, that's fantastic. Thanks again, ladies. It is Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. I'd like to thank everyone who caught this live tonight. Real Dango, Gina Figueroa. Gina, haven't heard from you. Yes, Doug Minter and David and others. Thank you for catching this live or on the replay. I'm Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. If you want to touch base with me, the best place to go to is my website, thedrvibeshow.com. As always, I like to end off my conversation saying this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher and wider. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith. And thank you, BIA Media, for another excellent production. Good night, everybody.